Hey buddies, Mr. Pugly here, coming at you in another Wonderland videos. There was 2 new items that were recently released as world drops, and I'm going to be covering one of them today. The weapon we're going to be talking about today is going to be the quad bow. Now the quad bow I have here is volatile, so the damage is going to be a bit skewed on a normal quad bow, but I also have a chaotic as you see right here. Essentially what this does is that it shoots lots and lots of cross bolts in 2 different patterns. But before I get into the meat and potatoes of the video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and follow me on Twitch and on top right. You have no idea how much helps me out, and let's get into the video.
Legendary? Whoa! No way, dude!
I do want to give a big shout out to the Discord member Wishkeeper. Wishkeeper is lucky enough to find a volatile version of this weapon, so if you're on my Discord, make sure to give him thanks in there because he is an MVP. He really just made this video possible, essentially. So the quad bow is one of the new legendaries that was actually dropped today. Originally, it was data mined in the game's code, so I'm happy it's finally into the game because sometimes some data mined items in Borderlands histories have not made it to the actual game. And I'm glad this is one of the ones that finally actually did make it to the game. Now, this is always going to be a crossbolt. It's called quad bow for a reason. So that means that it can spawn with crossbolts deal 2% increased damage for each crossbolt stuck into the target, as well as the melee variant, so keep that in mind. Of course, you probably want the increased damage globally. That's going to increase all your damage. And since it shoots so many crossbolts in such a short time, it is able to get this bonus to stack pretty quickly. If you have a build that reloads really fast, you can actually benefit more than my current build, since I feel like you run through the magazine like that, which is a bit unfortunate. One key thing to note is this is always going to be non-elemental, so it's going to be kinetic every single time, and it can actually spawn in 3 different ways. It can spawn in 4-round burst, semi-auto, full auto, and 3-round burst. So I said 3 ways, it's actually 4 ways, my mistake. But it also has the benefit of spawning with more magazine. I think the more magazine is probably the best because you want to shoot it as long as possible, but if you're Spellshot and you have the huge reload rate, you probably don't care. But the increased magazine rate of 24 feels a lot better. I just wish the 24 magazine one we have here was volatile. But when you shoot it, it is going to cost 2 ammo per shot, as you see here. So since this has a 3-round burst, it's going to then take 6 ammo every single time you shoot it, which is huge ammo dump. It takes a lot of ammo, honestly. Especially on the lower magazine size, as you see here, I was originally shooting my 24 round. This one is 12 magazine. So when I shoot it, it's going to need to reload almost instantly, which is very unfortunate. I only can get to shoot it essentially twice. You know, not the best, but it actually does some decent damage. Not that much damage, but it is pretty decent for an AR, because I feel like most ARs in the game aren't really that good. Now, depending on the firing mode that you're on, it's going to shoot in 2 different ways. So default, it's going to shoot horizontally, as you see here, but the alt fire mode should shoot in a vertical pattern. I found the vertical pattern to be easier. Here's a great example. Even though this isn't a test dummy, we're going to use Dragon Lord's quick test dummy. As you see right here, I'm able to hit all of his body very easily with, you know, vertical shots. But if I were to switch to horizontal shot, I'm only going to maybe get 2, maybe 1 bolt to hit. So even if you're super far away, vertical is going to hit your target very easily. So vertical is probably the mode that you want to stay on to deal the most amount of damage. So I'm going to just show some of the damage right here with the Dragon Lord statue. As you see here, the damage isn't too great, but as we get from some of the cross bolts actually on the Dragon Lord statue, it's going to take increased damage. So you'll see our damage gets exponentially larger as we shoot. So right there, that was a decent display on showing why I think the damage isn't too great. But I'm going to find some regular enemies just so you can see on how the damage actually performs with regular enemies. As you see right here, here's a regular enemy. I'm just going to shoot a couple times. He died instantly, but granted, we did get crits. Of course, most weapons, like crossbow weapons, do a lot of damage with crits, or I guess all weapons in this game do a lot of damage crits because of strength and stuff, but it does a decent bit of damage when you actually hit crits, so you're able to kill these guys pretty quickly if you were to hit crits, but otherwise I feel like the damage isn't honestly quite there. So I'm going to just shoot the body, and you see here we're not doing tons of damage, but if I was going for crits, a lot more, as you guys saw earlier. Like, here's a great example. Hopefully this guy stands still for me. I'm going to only hit like what, a couple times with crits, and we hit 20 6k with 1 crit right there. That's pretty incredible. With bossing, as you guys saw with the Dragon Lord statue, it's not that great. If you had a way to reload quicker and thus get the bolts onto the enemies quicker, I would think they would be able to deal a little bit more damage than I currently have it at. But we will eventually get to a boss, so you can actually see the damage of the gun on bosses, because I don't think it is that great, but it is definitely a lot better than most assault rifles in the game currently. Also, due to the fact that this is a Dahlia assault rifle, I believe it was recently buffed about, what, 6 to a week ago. Actually, I am wrong. I double checked myself. It was nerfed. So Dahlia assault rifles were nerfed. Not really sure why, but it was nerfed. So potentially the damage of this gun could have been a lot better. Keep in mind the damage I'm showing here is from a volatile, so in theory is one of the better options for a quad bow, especially since it has deal 2% more increased damage for each crossbow global damage increase as opposed to the other ones. But I don't have an optimized enchantment either on this build. So because of the fact that it does shoot a lot of pellets, if you have, for say like a Spore Warden like I have here, it is able to proc play the angles pretty decently quickly because of all the pellets that you're shooting. So that is something to consider when you actually use this weapon. If you're looking for maybe like a build that uses Stabbomancer from the shadows with play the angles to get lots of projectiles that actually hit an enemy to proc play the angles really quickly, that is something you can consider with this gun. And I'm sure there's other implications that I'm not thinking of at the current moment that you guys probably correct me in the comments or something. So since we're finally at the boss at the end of my Chaos Chamber, I'm going to show you the damage of this gun the best I could possibly do. So I'm going to activate Blizzard. We are using my Infinite Blizzard build, so we're just going to try lacing into this boss as fast as possible. As you see here, the damage is pretty decent, but not fantastic. We probably could have gotten rid of his first phase by now when using a different weapon, but it isn't straight terrible like certain assault rifles I know in the game. So at least it has that going for it. I definitely think that this damage of the gun could be a bit better. Like, as you see here, it's taken me a while to kill the Nightmare, and you guys seen how much damage this build can do normally. So I'm not sure if this is the best weapon, honestly, but it is fun to use to enable you to spawn a bunch of crossbolts on the enemy. You could use this with the pin cushion melee weapon as well, in theory, to activate a lot of crossbolts on the enemy, and I believe that melee weapon has more damage the more crossbolts are on a certain enemy, so this is probably one of the better weapons to get a lot of crossbolts on the enemy to benefit from that particular weapon. If you guys want to make a build around that, maybe I'll try that eventually in the future, but at the current moment, I feel like the gun could be a bit better, honestly. And as always, a big shout out to the members who make these videos possible. We have Jace Noodles, Clairvoyance, Rick Iglesias, Super Noob, Josh Dig, 31bar70, Dorman Tazzy, and Grey Wolf. These are the people who support me as little as $5 a month, and you can also support me as little as $5 a month by clicking the link in the comments in the description or in the top right to become a member. The more members we have, the closer I get to becoming full-time, which means more videos for you guys. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I hope you all have a great day. Bye-bye.
And the last shall be first to immerse in a pass out heat, facing him up with a moxie melt till he woke up drowning in tchotchke hell. War in a cave with a torch on a wall, then a window arrangement of porcelain dolls.